Hoffman, Monahan parked in front, docks to Caulfield, fires, scores!
You are about to enter Habs After Dark with Recliner Sports.
3, 2, 1, 0.
What's going on, gang? Welcome to the show. Welcome to Habs After Dark. My name is Devin, and welcome to another season. I know there weren't very many of you here yesterday, so I'll welcome you today. Montreal Canadiens 5, Detroit Red Wings 1. So a bit of a tale of two different games. I thought yesterday the Canadiens probably deserved a better result than what they got. I thought they played better than the scoreboard would indicate, and tonight might be a little bit of the reverse, right? Not to say they should have lost tonight's game, but I think certainly the scoreboard doesn't necessarily reflect the game itself. I think the Canadiens definitely were deserving of a win tonight, but perhaps 5-1 is a little bit more than what you would expect based on the statistics and the numbers of the game. What's up, Nicolas? Bonjour, Nicolas. What a game, says Nicolas. You need a longer loop. It's kind of annoying, says Nicolas. Well, it's the loop I have, and that's I'm sorry about that, but before I come on the air, usually about 5 minutes before I come on the air, I try and get the loop going just to let people know that we're close to starting. So I apologize for it being annoying, but I'm not, this is not my full-time gig, so sometimes you get what you get. But I'm glad you're here, Nicolas. Welcome, and thank you for being here. And I agree with you. It was a fun game to watch. Certainly, those who like offense, it was exciting to see the Canadiens get some goals. I think last night was a situation where they had a lot of chances but weren't able to finish. Tonight they didn't have as many chances, but they were a lot better at finishing and scoring when they did get their chances, as is reflected by the scoreboard. So welcome to the show, guys. Bienvenue tout le monde à l'émission. C'est votre émission d'après-match bilingue au sujet des Canadiens de Montréal. Ce soir, c'est une victoire des Canadiens 5-1 contre les Red Wings de Détroit. Le deuxième match de la saison, les Canadiens maintenant sont une victoire, une défaite après la défaite d'hier soir contre les Maple Leafs de Toronto. Alors, on va parler ce soir au sujet du match. On va regarder à notre scoreboard, à nos 4 étoiles, notre version de 3 étoiles, le A-Team. On va aussi regarder the good, the bad, the ugly, le bon, le mauvais et le... comment on dit ugly en français? C'est pas beau. les choses pas beaux du match. No apology needed, man. Here for the show, not the waiting music. I appreciate that, Nicolas. I'm glad you're here, and thank you so much. And for the rest of you, if you are watching, give us a thumbs up. If you're enjoying the content, if you're enjoying the show, hit that thumbs up button. We're happy to be here. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, you can do so by hitting the button down below. Si vous n'êtes pas souscrit à notre canal, comment on dit ça? Si vous n'êtes pas souscrit, si vous n'êtes pas membre de Recliner Sports, vous pouvez faire ça en bas avec le bouton. Also, guys, the notification bell, that would be awesome. Same as if you're watching in a replay, that would be great. Tonight, we're going to talk about the game. We're going to go through the scoreboard. We're going to talk about the goals. We'll also go through some of the statistics of the game. But I'm not here to talk at you guys. I'd much rather talk to you guys or with you guys. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to let them fly. We've got comments already coming in from Nicholas and Tyler. Tyler says that power play is awful. That zone entry better just be a trial. It was fine last season. Demidov needs to control the play on that second unit. I can go on, but a good W, I guess. I'm going to have to disagree with you about the power play being awful. I think it's not. I'm going to say it's. I'm going to talk about it later. I'm not going to give it a passing grade right now. but I'm not prepared to say that it's awful. What I would say is that they're moving the puck quite well. They're just not yet finishing it, and I think part of that might have to do with the fact that they've got guys playing in different positions in the power play, and they're just not as comfortable firing the puck from those spots. And hopefully that's something that will come with time and experience. But as of right now, I think they're moving the puck well. They're controlling the puck well. They're keeping the puck in the offensive zone. They're just not getting the shooting opportunities. As far as the zone entry, I'm not sure are you referring to the slingshot? If you're referring to the slingshot, that's something that virtually every team in the NHL does right now. Like it or not, I know a lot of people don't like it. It is something that virtually every team uses to enter the zone. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I think if everybody's using it, there's probably a reason why. I suspect it's been demonstrated to most people that they believe it's the best way to get the puck into the zone on the power play is to use that slingshot play. So I get it might kind of look ugly a little bit, but I agree with Tyler, says Nicolas. I think the PP needs some fine-tuning, but I think there is potential. I think the face-off aspect is the main thing they need to improve. Face-offs are definitely a concern for this team right now. So I agree with you on that. As far as the fine-tuning goes, I think the biggest thing for the power play is just going to be, reps. Getting into the groove a little bit. You've got guys who are out there who aren't, accustomed with being, out there together. So I'm not concerned about it right now. I don't think it's a matter of fine-tuning as much as it might be a situation where they just need to, get some time under their belt. They did the slingshot great last year, but they do a 2-drop pass now, which makes it a slower entry, and teams jump on it as we saw. Okay. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I think that the slingshot, that drop pass, whether it's a single or a double or whatever you want to call it, I think it's something that's pretty commonplace in the league. It's not a Montreal Canadiens thing. Is it the prettiest thing in the world? I don't know. Maybe somebody will come up with something better someday to replace it. But for now, I think that's kind of what you're going to get. I think you're right. I think teams, because it's been around a little bit longer, I think teams are learning to defend it, including the Canadiens, right? The Canadiens, if you've noticed, they're learning how to get that. They kind of use one guy to sort of hang back a little bit and try and get in the way of that drop pass and try and disrupt things a little bit that way. And maybe there's room for if the other team likes to keep a guy back or wants to keep a guy back, maybe you hold on to the puck and use that man advantage to get into the zone and start your power play. If they're gonna, obviously if they're gonna let a guy hang back around the red line, then you have the opportunity to get into the zone with an additional man advantage. So. So let's get to the scoreboard, guys. Hey, Billy D, what's going on? Great to see you. As always, Billy D was a regular last season with us, and it's great to see you back again this season, Billy D. So I think the first thing we'll look at, guys, tonight is our scoreboard, new graphics, new everything. So here we go. There's your scoreboard for tonight. As I said, 5-1. The Boston Bruins just scored in overtime. Looked like Fraser Minton, I think, gets the winning goal. 4-3 overtime win, Boston over Chicago. So here we have our scoreboard, guys. As I mentioned, 5-1 victory for the Canadiens, as you know. So let's talk about it a little bit. So for the second game in a row, the Canadiens come out a little bit slow, and they allow the first goal of the game at the 3:50 mark. This time, a goal by Dylan Larkin, assisted by Patrick Kane and Moritz Seider. On the power play, the Canadiens are able to come right back, not unlike last night. Zachary Bolduc with his second of the year, assisted by Gallagher and Matheson at the midway point of the first period. Again, Bolduc just demonstrating that really, really powerful shot which I think is going to be his bread and butter. And, I look forward to seeing that for many years to come with the Montreal Canadiens. He gets in one-on-one with the goalie, and he's able to beat the goalie no problem. Then we have Kapanen it puts the Canadiens up 2-1 at 12:43 from Newhook and Demidov. Really nice breakout pass from Demidov. Again, if you're one of those people who thinks that secondary assists have less value than primary assists, then I invite you to go back and look at that breakout pass that Ivan Demidov made from just inside his own blue line, cross ice, full length to the other blue line, where he hit Newhook in full stride, and Newhook and Kapanen went in on a 2-on-1. Kapanen finishing off backdoor to beat Gibson for the 2-1 lead for Montreal. And then the Canadiens score another one on a wrist shot from Mike Matheson with 7 seconds left in the first period, assisted by Suzuki and Dobson. Again, a bit of a theme there. Dobson and Matheson were dominant tonight. They looked really, really good. Matheson has looked good in both of the games so far this year, and he was able to convert on a nice goal at the end of that first period. So the Canadiens go into the dressing room after one period with a 3-1 lead. Second period, they come out. There's a goal at 5:19. It's credited to Carrier. I guess there's some dispute as to whether or not Bolduc deflected it. Originally, the goal was given to Bolduc from Carrier and Jack-Eye. However, later in the game, it was switched to Carrier's goal from Jack-Eye and Gallagher, as you see on the board. Whether that might get changed down the road or not, I don't know. If it is, that would be Bolduc's third goal in 2 games. Either way, a nice play by the Canadiens. Carrier with the shot through traffic in front of the net beats the Detroit goaltender. And then late in the period, Slavkovsky scores a bit of a scrambly play in front of the net on the power play with about 3 minutes left in the second period. Power play goal, Slavkovsky from Caulfield and Suzuki. And that rounds out the scoring. And there's no scoring in the third period. The Canadiens kind of, I don't want to say they held on. I thought they played well, but they kind of shut things down a little bit in the third period. The shots on goal in the third period alone were, let's have a look here, 9-3 in favor of the Red Wings in that third period. So, we'll get back to some of those advanced stats there, but let's get back to your questions here, guys. Tyler says, pretty bad we are picking apart a good win, but special teams are a big factor, especially if we want to be successful in the playoffs. Get it right early. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really picking it apart. I think their penalty kill has been spectacular so far this year. I think their penalty kill has been really, really good, especially when you consider the fact that there's a number of guys on that penalty kill who are relatively new to that job. Particularly Alex Newhook, I think, who looked really good in both of these games on the penalty kill. Nicolas says, I'm impressed with the PK. Tough that the departure of Devo and Armia would have thought that the departure of Devo and Armia would have a much more intense impact. Happy with the start of the season. Yeah, I mean, losing Armia and Dvorak, I mean, obviously that's going to be most apparent on the penalty kill. That was an important role that both of those guys played, but I think you're seeing guys like, Josh Anderson, who became a penalty killer for the first time last year. He's really taken on that role. But again, Newhook, Bolduc, these guys are really taking to that role. I thought Newhook, again, in particular, I thought looked really, really, really good on the penalty kill. There was one play in particular. I know, like, Marty St. Louis has talked at length about Newhook being able to use his speed defensively, and there was one play that just stood out to me. And again, I don't remember all the details of it, but Newhook was kind of in the slot a little bit on the penalty kill, and the puck kind of dribbled into the corner along the boards a little bit, and he just beat his man to the boards and was able to clear the puck. Like, just used his speed, his quickness to get to the puck and get it out. Again, I think he's really taken to that, which is, benefits the team in a lot of ways, right? Obviously, having penalty killers is good, but now, Nick Suzuki doesn't have to play that role, right? Nick Suzuki doesn't have to go out there on the penalty kill, which kind of frees him up a little bit to do some of the other stuff and not sort of be a guy who has to play 22, 23 minutes a game. He can decrease his ice time. So, Frank, hi, Devin. Nice to see we're back in action. Was much better game tonight. I agree with you. Billy D thinks that it may have hit Bolduc's stick. I don't disagree. The replay I saw looked to me like it definitely went in off of Bolduc's stick, but obviously the NHL has access to better replays than I do. But we'll see. It may yet be changed. I think that the fact that Matheson plays less with new lineup will help him a lot. Played really well in his first 2 games. I talked about this earlier, guys. You can go back and watch some of the episodes we did over the summer on Habs Therapy Day, where I talked about, my belief that bringing in Dobson will allow Mike Matheson to play not a lesser role, but fewer roles on the Canadiens, right? He no longer has to be a guy who is a jack of all trades, right? He doesn't have to be a defensive leader. He doesn't have to be a guy who goes out there and plays on the power play. He doesn't have to be a guy who's counted on for points. He's, like last year, I found that he was being asked to do so many things that it became tough for him. Right, he was asked to be an offensive guy and a defensive guy, and he would make some mistakes, not because he was necessarily not good, but more because he just he was trying to do too many things, or he was being asked to do too many things. He was playing, 25 minutes a game. He was on the penalty kill. He was on the power play. You wanted him to produce points, but you also wanted him to be a shutdown guy. And I think this year, you're, with Dobson in the lineup and, the filling out of the Canadiens defensive core allows him now to focus more on, fewer aspects of the game and not try to be everything to everyone, right? And I think the offense will still come like it did tonight, but it'll come not because he's trying to push it, but because we heard Marty St. Louis, right? You have to do the boring things in order to do the exciting things, right? You have, what is what's the word he used? I can't remember the wording he used, but basically you have to do the things that aren't spectacular and that nobody notices. And when you do those things well, then you get the opportunity to do the skilled and spectacular things. Basically, if you're out there forechecking and playing your position and playing the system and creating turnovers and winning board battles, that then will lead to you getting the opportunity to score goals and to make skill plays and to do all those other things, right? You have to do those unspectacular things in order to get the opportunity to do the special things. And I think that's going to be a bit of a theme with this team this year, right? And I think we're really seeing the team do some great things from a systems point of view with the team. If you're watching the games, like I've really invite you to watch the games with a different eye, right? Look for the forecheck, right? Look for them clogging up the neutral zone and causing turnovers in the neutral zone. Look for how quickly they turn the puck around, like Dobson, right? Like you see Dobson, when he goes back for the puck in his own zone, look how quickly he turns that puck around and gets it out. Look how quickly they turn the puck around from when they create a turnover either in their own end or in the neutral zone, how quickly they turn it back the other way and turn it into offense, right? Though, don't just look for goals and big hits and whatever, because, these are the things that, they're working on. These are the little things that you do, the details that you do that allow you then to, make the big plays, score the goals and do the nice stuff, right? If you create the turnover in your own end and get the puck back from the other team and you transition quickly, then that gives you the opportunity to make offensive chances or to create offense in the other end. So Kapanen and Demidov, Marty found our next great duo. Those kids are clicking. Newhook is just icing on the cake. Yeah, I mean, to me, Newhook's a little bit more than that. I think Newhook's a great guy to have with those two guys because he's, he does have the speed and he's good at, getting to those boards and to to create opportunities for those guys, to make room for them, to get the puck for them. Kind of the way the way that that Slavkovsky does for Caulfield and Suzuki, right? In a different way. Slavkovsky's a bigger guy who retrieves pucks using his size. Newhook is a smaller guy who gets out there and retrieves pucks with his speed and his quickness, right? Do I think the Habs will be back home with a 2-1 record? I'm not your guy for that. I'm not your guy for predictions on Nicolas. I mean, obviously Chicago is a team that, if you look at the expectations and the standings, they're a team that you would expect Montreal to beat. But Chicago's looked good this year. I thought they looked good in their opener, and they certainly they took Boston to overtime tonight. So they're not a team that you can underestimate. We saw what they did to Montreal last year, late in the season, right when Montreal was desperate for that last win to get them into the playoffs. Demidov's first game in the NHL. They were a handful. So let's get back to again, just to some of the advanced stats, guys. I know some of you like these and some of you don't, but I'm going to go through them quickly. Again, the advanced stats maybe demonstrate a little bit more what I was talking about earlier about the fact that, while last night the Canadiens statistically probably deserved a bit of a better result than what they got, tonight they probably got a little bit of a better result than what they deserved. Again, not suggesting that they didn't deserve the win, but perhaps 5-1 isn't a great indication of the way the game went tonight. The Corsi, of course, 62-38 in favor of Detroit, indicating that Detroit had the possession of the puck a lot more than Montreal did. The shots were 31-17. For the second night in a row, the Canadiens were out-hit by their opponent, 35-25. The face-offs, again, the Canadiens on the short end of the stick with the face-offs. I would suggest that number was even more troublesome up until probably the last 10 minutes or so of the game. I think the Canadiens won a few face-offs at the very end of the game that kind of made that number a little bit more respectable. High danger chances were 11-3 in favor of Vancouver. Detroit. Vancouver's on in the background. That's why my brain is thinking Vancouver. I mean, that number seems a little off to me, given what I watched during the game. I know high danger chances. There's some, controversy about how those are calculated or formulated. But anyways, expected goals 3.5 for Detroit and only 1.6 2 for Montreal. So, hey Larry, what's going on, man? It's great to see you as well. Thanks a lot. Hope things are well. I hope you had a good off season, and welcome to another season of Montreal Canadiens hockey. And of course, Habs After Dark. It's awesome to have you. What I would say, one of my observations, I guess, would be from last night's game to tonight's game, is last night's game was a situation where the Canadiens had a number of opportunities, but they weren't able to finish on them. Tonight was a game where they didn't have as many opportunities, but they were a little better at finishing, right? They finished more tonight, whereas last night they carried the play a little bit better, but weren't able to finish and didn't get the result they were looking for. So that's kind of my take on the last two games. Again, I don't know that those numbers look exactly fair to me or accurate, but again, I'm not going to argue with statistics. But I mean, when you say 11-3 high danger chances against the Canadiens tonight, I know that the goals they scored were not necessarily the most spectacular, but also I don't think they were all stinkers either. So that's the tale of the tape for the scoreboard, guys. I know you guys like to talk about. We like to do the A team, which is one of your favorites. I know Entertap loves it. I know he's not here right now. I wish he was. Haven't got to talk to him in a long time. But right now we're going to do our A team. The A team, of course, being our version of the 3 stars. The guys who I thought were the standouts for the Montreal Canadiens tonight. So let's get to it. So the A team for tonight, guys. Again, the players who I felt stood out for the Montreal Canadiens. How about those graphics, by the way? You like those? Um, you agree with my anal? Um, I think you're. I think you may mean something else, Larry, but that's okay. We're all good. The A team for tonight is Jakub Dobeš, Juraj Slafkovsky, Mike Matheson, and Zach Bolduc. So those are the members of tonight's A team. Jakub Dobeš for me. I mean, first of all, guys, if you agree or disagree with the A team, feel free to let me know. Post in the comments here, whether you're live or watching in a replay. Let me know whether you think there's guys on there who you disagree with, who you don't think had particularly good games and maybe shouldn't be on my on the A team, or if there's anybody that you think deserves to be there that didn't make it. Let me know. Let me know who those guys would be. So Jakub Dobeš tonight again. I think he just had a really solid game. 31 shots against. He saved all but one, all but the first one, right? Shutout after the first 3.5 minutes of the game. Just again, Dobeš is one of those guys. He's big, covers a lot of space, gets in the way, blocks shots. Detroit did have some opportunities tonight. They outshot Montreal. And Dobeš is a big part of why they were able to stay in the game. And I know it's early in the season, but one of the big differences, hopefully, that's going to help Montreal, get off to a better start than they did last year, and not sort of be fighting, or behind the 8 ball early on, is the fact that they have a good backup. Right. Again, I don't have any issue with Caden Primo. I feel like the kid had a tough time last year, but he struggled in the first half, and there's no denying that. And he didn't really offer Montreal a very solid second option in goal. And Jakub Dobeš appears to be able to do that. If we take what he did at the end of last year, what he did through the preseason. I know there's even some Canadiens fans out there who are calling for him to be the number one goalie, which is, the most Montreal Canadiens fan thing of all time. But again, having a backup who you can put in there and feel confident and comfortable with. Last year I feel like, Marty St. Louis wasn't super comfortable with Caden Primo, as we saw when he was replaced for the second half of the season. And, there were a lot of times where they probably would have preferred to give Montembeault a night off, but didn't feel like they could because the game was too important. And they didn't have enough trust in putting Caden Primo in. So having a backup like that is going to certainly be a benefit to the Canadiens this season. Mike Matheson, again, another whipping boy for a lot of Montreal Canadiens fans, a guy that has taken a lot of what I believe to be unfair abuse. A guy who's, done everything that's been asked of him ever since he joined the Montreal Canadiens. He was the offensive guy, then he was the defensive guy, and then last 2 years he was kind of asked to do everything. This year, it's we talked at length about it earlier. His role is diminished a little bit, not not in its importance, but more so in its volume. It's really paying off. And I think the partnership with he and Dobson has looked really, really good, right? So this idea that Montreal Canadiens fans had that Dobson, believe it or not, there's a lot of Montreal Canadiens fans out there that were suggesting that Dobson was a bust after 4.5 periods of preseason hockey, right? Oh, Dobson doesn't look good. He's not doing that. Well, just relax, right? And so now we see Dobson and Matheson looking really good out there together. They complement each other quite well. And tonight, I thought Matheson looked really, really good, and of course managed to get that goal. Juraj Slafkovsky, fingers crossed. Good start to the season. Got his first goal of the year. Has looked good 2 games in a row. Number of shots on goal, using his body, being physical, getting involved. I thought last night he kind of was a little, looked like he was gripping his stick a little bit tight. Had a little, he had a bunch of opportunities and didn't really get the shot off the way he probably would have liked to tonight. He was able to finally get a goal. I still think he's probably gripping his stick a little bit tight. I can't remember who it was on TSN 690 today. I was listening, and they rarely make good points, but I think a good point that was made today was that if Slavkovsky can just work on getting his shot off like a half a second quicker or a quarter of a second quicker, I think it'll probably make a huge difference in his game, and that's something that probably will come with his confidence a little bit and some maturity. And I think once he starts being able to get that shot off just that little bit quicker, like realizing that he doesn't have to put it through the back of the net, he just has to get it off a little bit quicker. I think that'll make a huge difference for him. And of course, Zachary Bolduc, possibly 3 goals in 2 games. We'll see, but definitely 2 goals in 2 games. Not just that; it's not just about the goals with Bolduc. I invite you to watch the game with a bit of a different eye. Watch the forecheck, right? Watch F1. They talk about F1, right? The first guy in on the forecheck. Zachary Bolduc has been awesome at that. Good speed, physical. Creates turnovers from the other team's defense in their own end. He's just like a dog on a bone a little bit. Last year, the only guy that really did that super effectively was Josh Anderson, right? Josh Anderson's really good at that too. Size, speed, physical. Bolduc is just as, if not better, than Anderson at it. And he's really good at getting in there and then creating opportunities for his line mates. So it's not just about the goal scoring that's been impressive with Bolduc. It's been his ability to play within the system. Again, the system being very, Marty St. Louis is a big proponent of creating offense using, by creating turnovers on the forecheck, creating turnovers with active sticks in the neutral zone, and Zachary Bolduc has really taken to that. And I think, those were the things that they talked about when the trade was made, right? These were things that they identified about that player that they really liked. And those things are coming to fruition already early in the season. So Dobesh, Slavkovsky, Matheson, and Bolduc, those are the members of tonight's A-team. If you agree, let me know. If you disagree, let me know. Feel free to post in the comments here. I see there's a couple comments we'll get to here in a second. But again, if you're watching in a replay, if you think I'm crazy, if you think any of those guys don't belong on the list, or if you think there's a guy that clearly should have been there and I missed them, I'd love to hear your comments. Si vous pensez qu'il y a quelqu'un qui devrait être sur le A-team de ce soir, mentionnez ça dans les commentaires. Si vous regardez l'émission après le match, vous pouvez commenter dans la section de commentaires s'il y a quelqu'un que vous pensez que j'ai manqué, s'il y a quelqu'un que j'ai mis sur le A-team qui ne devrait pas être là. J'aimerais bien savoir vos opinions sur ça. So that's your A-team for tonight, guys. Let's get back over here. We'll get to some comments. Nicolas wants to talk about Mike Matheson. He says, Matheson needs more love. I can't believe that we got him for Petrie. What was the trade for Matheson? Mike Matheson trade. Mike Matheson. The Pittsburgh, Jeff Petrie and Ryan Poehling for Mike Matheson and a 2023 4th-round pick. Yeah, that's a good trade. I've always been a big fan of Matheson, and like I said earlier, I feel like the criticism that he's received and has taken over the last couple of years has been very unfair. He's a guy who plays a ton of minutes. He's a guy who does a ton of things for the team, and because he's on the ice so much and in such important situations, when he does make a mistake, it's a very glaring one. And then, unfortunately, Montreal Canadiens fans have a real habit of when they dislike a player, they look for mistakes, right? So they're looking for that player, and so every little tiny thing they do wrong gets magnified, and all of the good things kind of get ignored. And I think Matheson has been a bit of a victim of that a little bit. And I think, like I said, I think that some of the criticism of him has been grossly unfair. So Larry says the goaltending was great tonight. Defense helped, looked good and organized. Yeah, that's the system, right? And that's what I love to hear. Like, and what I love to see is that the team looks like they're organized out there, like that there's a purpose to what they're doing. They're not just a bunch of guys out there playing hockey. They're not out there playing on the the outdoor rink. There's a method to the madness, right? There's a system that they're playing, whether it's those one of the neutral zone turnovers that they've created in these first two games of the. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that, but it's just like it's been night and day from even from the end of last year. Like the opportunities that they create by turning the puck over or forcing the other team to turn the puck over in the neutral zone has just been crazy. Yeah, it's been really it's fun to watch. Like I said, I really invite you guys to start watching the game with a view to looking at the forecheck, the neutral zone coverage, the D zone coverage, the breakouts, and the zone exits and stuff like that. Yeah, they've been really good. Frank thinks that my A team is right on the money. I appreciate that, Frank. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think that's great. I appreciate it. Give us a thumbs up, guys, if you're enjoying the show. If you're not subscribed, if you're watching, I see there's only 6 people watching at the moment. But if you are watching and you haven't subscribed yet, we're about 40 people away from getting to that magical 500 number. So, everybody counts, and we would love for you to be part of the group and part of our Recliner Sports family. So, hit that subscribe button down below. And like I said, if you like what you're seeing, I see there's another thumbs up who just came in there. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Larry also says that my A team is on target. Thank you so much, Larry. Larry, again, talking about the team being fun and organized and the lines coming together. I'm with you 100%, Larry. That to me has been the biggest thing. I mean, I'll be honest with you, the line pairings that Marty St. Louis has gone with in these first 2 games are kind of contrary to what I philosophically believe. Like I more so believe that your different lines should have different roles. Like for me, your first line is your number one production line. Your second line is typically your number 2 production line. For me, your third line is a line where they are two-way players, right? They're good defensively and they're good. They're a bit of a hybrid, right? They can produce some offense, but they're also good defensively. And typically for me, I like them to have some energy, right? They're a team that a group that goes out there and bangs and crashes and has some speed and again, very responsible defensively, but might get you some points here and there, like a Kirby Doc or an Oliver Kapanen kind of guy. Not a Kirby Doc, pardon me, an Owen Beck or an Oliver Kapanen kind of guy. And then your fourth line to me is more of like your defensive shutdown line. Like in a perfect world, you've got a fourth line that you can put out there against the other team's best players and shut them down. Which is why for me, your first line is your first line. To me, the second line would have been Demidov, Doc, and Laine. Your third line would be like your Kapanen, Newhook, and who am I missing? Oh, and Bolduc. And then your fourth line would be, Evans, Gallagher, and Anderson, the shutdown line. But Marty St. Louis seems to be taking an approach where he wants all 4 of his lines to be good at everything, which is great. And it appears to be working obviously early on. I don't know. We'll see how it works. I mean, I just, to me, Patrick Laine on a fourth line doesn't sort of theoretically make sense. However, it seems to be working. So I can't argue with it. To me, I wonder about, moving Gallagher up the lineup, right? To me, one of the reasons why Gallagher did as well as he did last year was because he didn't play as much, right? Gallagher with his, not the oldest guy in the league, but certainly, has been through a lot, right? He's been through a lot of injuries. His body is a lot older than his birth certificate, right? And so for me, one of the things that he really benefited from was being on that fourth line and being in a role where he was only playing, 12, 13, 14 minutes a game. And so, like, if he's going to play a more significant role where he's playing more ice time, is that going to decrease his productivity? I don't know. Again, I'm not going to argue with it. I mean, philosophically, it's different than what I believe. But, Marty St. Louis is a smarter guy than I am. He knows a lot more about hockey than I do. And it's working, right? You're right, Larry. It's worked over the last, 2 games. I'm not going to complain about it. It's not the way I would do it. But at the same time, my way is not the only way to do it. And, it appears to be working. So agree, but they are still trying to get the right people together. Yeah. And like I said, it's working. So I can't, I can't complain about it, and I won't complain about it. It's just like I said, like the way I prefaced it was that, it's been interesting to me because when I first saw the lines, I kind of, bristled at it a little bit because it was so different than what I would have done and the way that I would have approached the making of the lines, where, I'm more into having lines where the players are, pardon me, what did I do there? The lines have specific roles, but, Marty St. Louis sees things differently, and we'll see how it pans out. Galley is still the heart and soul of the Canadiens. Yeah, yes and no. I think what's up, bully? I think he is the heart and soul, but I think there's a lot of heart and soul on this team. I think there's a lot of heart and soul on this team, right? It's, he's the veteran, he's the leader, he's always been a heart and soul guy. He's a guy that's going to, you don't have to worry as a coach. You don't have to worry about, Brendan Gallagher, putting forth his best effort when he's on the ice, right? He's going to. Every time you put him over the boards, that you're getting everything he possibly has. The question with Galley is always going to be, what does he have? Right? Physically, is he able to meet the requirements or meet the what the game is going to put in front of him? He's been healthier, the last 2 years, and that's been great. And, like I said, last year, I think he benefited a lot from, not having as much ice time and not having as demanding a role. I think that certainly helped him because, it allows him to, his body is broken. Like, he's not the same guy he was when he first started with the Canadiens. But yeah, I think he's a leader on the team. I think the team, I think he brings a lot to the team, on and off the ice. I think you're trying to ask me here, I wonder when they will sign Hudson. I think that's what you're asking me, Frank. I have no idea. What I will say about the Hudson signing is that I have a little bit of concern now for the first time over, not so much about whether it's going to get done. I'm pretty sure it will get done. I guess my concerns are twofold. One, I really, really, really don't want to see this be a bridge contract. I don't want to see anything less than 6 years. I want to see him get signed for as long as possible, not just because I love the player and I want him to be a Montreal Canadian for as long as possible. I think that the longer they can sign him for, the longer the so-called window is open for them to win with this group, right? Because, if you sign him to a 3 or 4 year deal, and he plays the way I think he's capable of playing, then after that 3 or 4 year deal, then do are you priced out of the market, right? Because again, I'm a firm believer that you don't win by paying guys exorbitant amounts of money. I think you win when you have your best players are still on their first and second contracts, right? They're not yet the free agents who went out and broke the bank, right? They're the guys who are making $8, $9, $10 million as 24, 25, 26, 27-year-olds, as opposed to guys who are making 12, 13, 14 million dollars, and of course even more now that the cap's going up, at the ages of 31, 32, 33, right? Look like the Maple Leafs, right? The Maple Leafs' time to win was when their big four were on those 8, 9, and $10 million contracts before they signed the 12 and $13 million contracts. And so if Hudson signs, for 3 years at $9 million, what happens at the end of those 3 years, right? Like, then you're looking at, if he becomes the defenseman that I think he's capable of becoming, then you're looking at a guy who's, again, if he's willing to take a hometown discount, I don't know. But the other concern I have is that there could be some, some bad feelings coming out of this now. I still don't know what to believe. Elliot Friedman says that, that the negotiations have gotten emotional and that the parties needed to take a step back and take a timeout. I don't know what that means. It seems weird to me. I have no inside information. But I do know that Lane Hudson's agency is the same agency that Kent Hughes worked for, right? So the people that Kent Hughes is negotiating with are the people that used to be his coworkers. And so while I don't believe that means that, they're going to do Montreal any favors because Kent Hughes is the GM, I do think that means that it would seem weird to me that the negotiations would go off the rails to the extent that they're emotional and they have to take a break from one another. Like, it seems weird to me that guys who worked together and obviously we're business partners now can't sit in a room and have a conversation without having to take a time out. So all that to say that we really don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and so it's probably wrong to speculate about it. I think that Marco D'Amico has done some really, really good work on this. So if you want to get some insight on this, I would invite you to go check out his work and his social media accounts and see what he's saying about it. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the Lane Hudson contract. Thomas, welcome. I see. I don't think I've seen you here before. Thomas, welcome. Great start for Kapanen and Matheson. Looked great today. Great to see everything start to come together. Yeah. I mean, I agree with all. We already talked about Kapanen. We talked about Matheson. Matheson, of course, was part of our A team tonight. Kapanen was not, although I think you make a good argument. He very easily could have been there as well. Everything's starting to come together. I mean, I think it's been a progression all along. I think that things, last year were a progression. Things started to come together last year as well. But again, when you're on a rebuilding team, especially one that's focusing so much on building from within with young players, to me, what you want to see is you want to just see that progression continue and continue and continue and continue. When the progression stops or slows down, that's when things, you feel like things might be starting to get in trouble. If things start to slow down or go backwards. So a new feature, guys, that I wanted to do tonight for you guys, and I don't know what you think of it. I'll get your feedback on it when we're done, is this: the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we've got the good, the bad, the ugly, of course, famous Western movie. For all you old heads out there like me, I'm sure Larry Lavallee is well familiar with the good, the bad, and the ugly. I apologize, I'm not calling you old, Larry, but you probably do remember the good, the bad, and the ugly. So this is a new thing I wanted to do on the show, and I wanted to talk about this. So for me, the good, the bad, the ugly. So from tonight's game, my observations. Things that were good, things that were bad, and things that were ugly. So the first thing under the good heading, and again, I invite you guys all to fire away with your comments here about this. If you have questions or comments, you agree with me. So my first good under the good section is the new guys don't stink, right? And by the new guys, I mean Noah Dobson and Zach Bolduc. Those are the two guys I'm talking to about in particular. I guess you could also add Ivan Demidov and Oliver Kapanen into that category. But the main guys I was thinking about with that headline were Dobson and Bolduc. Of course, Bolduc, we talked about earlier, has looked great. 2 goals, maybe 3 already. I think it's, I think he's been great, and like I said, we talked about earlier, it's not just the goal scoring. Le beau, le brut et le truand. Oui, c'est ça. Yes, great movie. Great movie. Dobson, again, the reason I said the new guys don't stink is because there's a lot of fans out there that said that Noah Dobson stunk, right? They didn't like the way he played. They didn't like the way he played in the preseason, even though he only played for 4.5 periods and was dealing with, with a groin injury, which I think he still is dealing with. But again, now that the real hockey is being played, we're seeing what Dobson can do. The Dobson-Matheson pairing, like we talked about earlier, has been really, really good. Another under the heading of good is great systems play. Again, we just talked about it earlier. The forecheck, the neutral zone coverage, the creating turnovers, in the neutral zone, turning the puck over in the neutral zone, the transition play. The D zone coverage, I think, is still probably a little bit of a work in progress. Certainly last night in Toronto, I think that was kind of an area where they struggled. They did a really good job keeping Toronto out of their zone, but once Toronto was able to get in their zone, they had a hard time killing plays and getting the puck out. But otherwise, I think their systems have been really good. And it's, again, getting back to the points that Larry made earlier about, the team looking more organized and looking like everything was coming together. And, that to me is the systems, right? And, we hear, a lot. I mean, again, we're not taught to watch hockey that way, right? We're taught to watch hockey, and we're taught to look for, nice passes and nice shots and nice goals and big hits and all that other stuff. But, if you pay attention to Marty St. Louis and some of the, the press availabilities and things that he says, he talks about these things, right? And again, I go back to his, one of his big comments, catchphrases of late has been, what is it? Doing ordinary things so that you can do extraordinary things, right? So sometimes you have to do the ordinary things in order to give yourself the opportunity to do extraordinary things. And what he means by that is sometimes you got to do the boring, things that not everybody really pays attention to then get the opportunity to get the goal scoring opportunity. Sometimes you need to forecheck in order to turn the puck over so that you can then get a scoring chance and then, do so even for, your highly skilled players like your Cole Caulfields and your Ivan Demidovs, you need to do those other things. You need to get the puck first so then you can do the other things. And I think that's going to be a real theme this year for this team, is doing the ordinary things so that you can do the extraordinary things. The other thing on the again, this is pretty simple, is the penalty kill. I think, again, we talked about it earlier. Again, the penalty kill has been great. I think the penalty's been really, really good, especially when you consider the fact that there's a few new guys in the mix. Newhook, Bolduc, guys killing penalties who are not typically accustomed to doing that job, and I think the penalty killing has been really, really good. The bad, I got a couple things there. Slow starts, 2 games in a row. The Canadiens came out of the gate a little bit slow. They gave up the first goal in each of the first 2 games. I think in both games they gave up all the first 5 shots. I know tonight for sure they were down 5-0 in shots. Last night, I'm not sure if it was 5, but it certainly was 4 against Toronto. And so, those slow starts are not ideal. Perhaps a sign of a young team, a little bit of an immature team. But again, the Canadiens are going to have to, start coming out of the gate a little bit better. Again, another thing I've talked about before is, the Canadiens need to be a team that takes their game to the other team, right? As opposed to being the guys who come into the rink and say, "Oh, we're going to play hockey against these guys." I want them to be the team that comes in and says, "This is our rink, this is our game. You're you're playing against us, right? As opposed to sort of going in and we're going and playing against those guys. And a fast start is obviously going to help with that. Face-off percentage, the face-offs have not been great. They actually were decent in the preseason, better than expected. I don't know what they're going to do about that. I noticed that there's a lot of guys taking face-offs right now. They don't really have a great left-handed face-off guy. Joe Veleno is a guy who maybe can help with that, but at this point, who are you taking out of the lineup to bring Veleno in? I don't know. Like Veleno is, probably your best option as a left-handed face-off guy. I think it's just something they're going to have to continue to work on, right? And maybe they can have some success even without great face-off numbers, and then progressively just improve that, right? They've got young guys, and face-offs are a thing that young guys often struggle with, but it's also something that young players can improve at. Power play was raised early in the show, very early in the show. Somebody brought up the power play. I think somebody said it was terrible or awful. I don't agree with that. I think the power play tonight 1 for 3, last night 0 for 2, I believe. It's just I think they're moving the puck well. I just think that I'm not a guy who thinks that I'm not a guy who yells shoot during a power play. But I do think that you've got guys who are playing in new positions on the power play and need to they need to be more accustomed of firing the puck from their new positions, right? I think it'll come. I think it's just a matter of time and experience. I think they're also having a difficult time. Like they're trying to build a situation where they have, there's a goal for Vancouver. They're trying to create a situation where they have 2 strong power play units. And I think with that, they need to sort of work on like how to balance those 2 groups, right? Like I know last night against Toronto, there was a situation on one of the power plays where the Canadiens' number 1 unit just held the puck in the other team's end so long, in Toronto's end so long, that they ended up staying on the ice for the entire 2 minutes. It was like a minute and 45 or 46 seconds, before they had any opportunity to change. So I don't know how that works. I don't know how they work that out. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. The ugly, again, these are things that are bad, but not necessarily. It's kind of more, what are you going to do about it kind of stuff, like broken sticks. Like broken sticks. I don't know how many sticks broke in the first 2 games of the year. There's at least 8 or 9 broken sticks, including last night where there were 2 broken sticks on the same play that, resulted in the game-winning goal for the Maple Leafs. Again, I get that that's just bad luck and there's not really anything you can do about it, but it's ugly. And I don't know, like it's just, what the hell's going on with that? The other thing I have there is no hitter. 2 games in a row, as I mentioned, the Canadiens were out-hit by their opponents. And some of the guys on the team that you would expect to be, at the top of the list for most hits in the game are not. Tonight, I believe the most hits for the Canadiens was by Arbor Jackeye. But then after that, you had Alex Newhook and Cole Caulfield. Alex Newhook and Cole Caulfield should not be near the top of your list as far as the guys who have the most hits on your team. They shouldn't be anywhere near that. At 5'8" and 5'10", those are not guys you should be counting on for multiple hits. So that's what I mean when I say no hitter. So that's my good, bad, ugly. Let me know what you think about that new, I don't know what I'm going to call that, a new feature, a new aspect of the show. So something you think we should stick with? Do you like that? It hasn't created a ton of conversation here, I see, but like I said, if you guys have any comments about any of that stuff, si vous avez des commentaires au sujet des, c'est quoi en français, le bon, la brute et la truand, et le truand, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. Frank says it's still too early. These new players have to get used to the system. Once they do, there will be a force on the ice. Yeah, I mean, again, I think it'll come with some reps. I think it'll come with some practice. It's just, especially on the power play, it's something that, they've obviously got the personnel. They just need to get it to click. Last year was a slow start. Also, nothing new. False faceoffs also sucked last year. Yeah, the faceoffs were rough last year, but again, they had Christian Dvorak last year, who was a guy who they could count on to take big faceoffs at big times. So like they don't have that now, right? Like, and realistically, you don't have to have a bunch of guys who can take faceoffs. You just need like that one guy who you can put out in the big situations, right? You got a big face-off in the defensive zone late in the game. You can put him out on the ice to take that face-off and then just, come get right back off the ice. So, it's not a matter of getting four guys who are all going to be 55% face-off guys. You just need to get that one or hopefully two guys that can, they've got Jake Evans, who's a good face-off guy. Typically, they've got Nick Suzuki, who's a decent face-off guy. They don't really have a left-handed face-off guy, and that's what their big thing is. So, do you think that we hit less because we control more puck? I'm really bad with sets. That's a good question, Nicola. I mean, tonight they didn't have the puck more than Detroit. So, the fact that they were out hit tonight, I don't think you can attribute it to that. I think that common sense wise, that makes sense, right? It makes sense to think that the team that has the puck more is less likely to have more hits, right? Like if you control the puck and you've got the puck all the time, it's the other team's going to have more hits. So, yeah, I've never really thought of that. Hits is a bit of a weird stat too, right? It's weird in that, it's hard to track, right? You've got different people in different arenas judging what is and what isn't a hit, right? So, is that there's a lot of real inconsistencies when it comes to hits. I mean, I know, what was it last year? I mean, I remember this stood out to me. NHL stats hits. Let me see. Last year, the hit stats was really, really weird. And I'm going to try and find it so that I can express it properly. It's miscellaneous. Yeah. So let's do last year. Why am I just got 20? You're not going to give me last year? Oh, here we go. 24, 25, 24, 25. So what's going on here? Yeah, so like last year, Kiefer Sherwood of Vancouver had 462 hits. The next closest guy to him was 306. Right, so I really have a hard time believing that one guy had 160 more hits than anybody else in the NHL. Right? Like I mean, so to me, I think, there is an issue with the way hits are calculated in the NHL. I don't use the NHL website for hits all the time. I typically try to use Natural Stat Trick. Yeah. So anyways, you raise a really good question, I guess, is the response to that, Nicola, about whether or not puck possession should be something that you think about when you're looking at the hit stat. Thanks so much, Frank. I appreciate you popping by for the show. I am going to try and do a show on Saturday. I'm traveling. I'm going to be in Cape Breton on Saturday, so I may or may not be able to do the show. But if I'm not, then I'll definitely see you all on Tuesday for the home opener against the Kraken. But that's it, yeah. So thanks so much for coming by, Frank. I do appreciate it. But I do think I'm going to end the show there, guys. I do appreciate everybody for coming. It's been a good time, as it always is. I'm trying to keep the shows to about an hour. This year, I don't want to go too long and bore you guys too much with everything. But it's been a fun show. Certainly much better than yesterday's show. Yesterday, we didn't really get a lot of traction. But it's great to have you all here. It's great to have all the comments. Maybe, when the Canadiens win, we get more comments and questions than when they lose. But it is what it is. But merci beaucoup tout le monde. Ça a été une excellente émission. J'ai beaucoup aimé vos questions, vos commentaires. Peut-être à la prochaine fois, on va avoir plus de questions et de commentaires en français. Si vous avez des questions après le fait, vous pouvez les donner dans la section de commentaires. On va vous répondre. Je fais mon mieux toujours de répondre à toutes les questions. If you have questions or comments about the show, if you're watching in a replay. All right, Nicolas, thanks so much, man. I do appreciate it. Merci beaucoup. Have a great night. And I look forward to seeing you next time. If you have questions, comments, feedback, anything like that, put it in the comment section. I do my best to try and answer everybody's questions if I can. If you're enjoying the content, give us a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, hit the button down below. I know I sound like a bit of a broken record, but when I look at the stats, it tells me that only about 30% of the people who watch the show are actually subscribed. We're really trying to get to that magical 500 number. On essaie d'avoir 500 membres de notre comment on dit channel? Canal? I know canal sounds kind of weird. On veut avoir plus de 500 membres ici de Recliner Sports. C'est un nombre qui est important à YouTube. YouTube lets us do some fun stuff when we get to 500 subscribers. So that's going to be it for tonight. Thanks so much, everybody, for popping by. Once again, Montreal Canadiens 5, the Detroit Red Wings 1. The Montreal Canadiens now are 1-1 in their first two games of the season. What else? We got the Chicago Blackhawks on Saturday night in Chicago. And then the Canadiens will return home for their home opener. I believe it's on Tuesday against the Seattle Kraken. So I look forward to seeing you guys. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. J'ai hâte de vous voir à la prochaine fois. Thanks so much. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your night. And we definitely look forward to seeing you in the next one. Peace out.
To Hoffman, Monahan parked in front, docks to Caulfield, fires, scores!
You are about to enter Habs After Dark with Recliner Sports.